So, did you read the slide? No, good, because you shouldn't. Okay, hi, I'm Ivan from Serbia, and I make a lot of games, but I rarely finish them. I was really confused when Lorenzo invited me to come to Amaze to talk. I was like, well, I don't finish games. I don't know. There's nothing I can talk about. So I asked him, like, okay, why did you invite me? Well, he said, you're doing cool work. House of Flowers is interesting. You're visible and known indie. You've been coming to Amaze for a long time, and I like you. Is that enough? Well, yeah, not in that way. Yeah. It's clear now. Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to say that this fifth thing is kind of the most important, but yeah, now it's not really. So yeah, I said, well, oh yeah. I said, well, I guess the only thing I can talk about is things I didn't finish. So, okay, let's do it. But I think it's kind of going to be depressing because, yeah, like I don't have anything to say like, oh, there's a success, I did something, and you should also not finish projects. Doesn't work. So anyway, yeah, this is the title of this talk, Eulogy for Abandoned World. I think that the hardest thing in game development is thinking of titles, especially for talks. So this kind of came out of a list of like 20 names, and I'm like, okay, Eulogy for Abandoned Worlds. But really, when I woke up tomorrow, I was like, it's kind of artsy-fartsy. No, it's not really, I don't really feel so art. Well, this GIF is kind of artsy, but it's just an accident. But really, the talk should be called, I think, Restless Mind Full of Crazy Shit of a Regular Game Developer. So, because that's sort of, I can't really stop doing crazy stuff. Or maybe, please help me. I can't stop. Yeah. So, well, shall we begin? This is my first game. Well, not my first game, but sort of the first game that people found interesting, which is called Scanner. Well, basically you scan things in-game, objects, and I sort of did like photogrammetry of real-world objects, and then you sort of, in a game, in first person, you can scan these objects. Like this. Okay. So, but really, the only thing I could do with this game is make a puzzle game. I couldn't think of any other way how to use this technique. I was thinking for a very long time. I mean, to make it simple and actually doable. I did have some crazy ideas, but that thing actually got me invited to Innovative Games Showcase in 2015, and I really see this game as like my ticket to GDC Europe, which was really great. I met some great people. Also, you can see that it's hard to be Serbian because the final letter is kind of like not very font friendly. So I mostly write S at the end, but sometimes, like here, I think somebody else wrote this. So anyway, my next project is this. Well, I want to say was, but yeah, it's not finished. So is House of Flowers, which is a game that's set in the 90s in breaking up Yugoslavia, and yeah, you can drive cars, you can do jobs, you can talk to people, you can get friendships, you can, earn money and survive the crisis, and it's getting worse and worse. And just by me telling this to you, you can see that it's really, really ambitious and huge, and yeah, that's why it never happened. But the good thing is, well, this is how it sort of looks right now. It's kind of very broken. I mean, there's like, it works, but there's too many things that needs to be fixed, so I kind of get always fed up with it. Well, that's the good thing about this game is that it got me to Stugan last year. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to Stugan and I'm gonna finish this game, or the prototype. But yeah, I went to Stugan and I realized that the project was actually like 2 years old, and it was running in Unity 4. So I spent 2 months in Stugan moving to Unity 5 because everything was broken, which is not something I thought will happen. Anyway, yeah, since just like moving to Unity 5 was a bit like hard thing to do, on the side, I did some other projects in Stugan, like this, which is called the most realistic walking simulator. It was just like we were walking through the forest and thinking about, like you're walking through the forest, and you always look down, right? You always look like where you step, because you can stumble on tree branches or something, or rocks. And then when you're walking and you stop, and you're like, only when you stop is when you look up and you're like, wow, I'm in a different part of the forest now. And I never had this feeling in games. It was always like you look into the sky and you're like, press W to go. So yeah, that was the initial idea, and like, let me try. And well, this came out in a day, and it was just a fun experiment. And yeah, you can actually. Okay, it's working. You can actually kick as well. This should run faster. But come on. Yay! Okay. But the cool thing is you can also step on yourself. So which would be really cool to do in real life. Yeah, great. And you can also fly if you just like hold both clicks, because yeah, left click does the left leg and the right leg, right. So yeah, it's a very reliable physics as well. So yeah, this was just so yeah, this was in these 2 months. I did this for maybe 2 days. And yeah, at the time there was Lynch Jam, which actually it was on itch.io, but only one game entered the jam, and this was supposed to be the second one, because Martin Quale was visiting Stugan, and I was like, do you want to make music for me? And he was like, yeah, and yeah, we did this for maybe 2 days. 3 days, and I made this kind of Lynchian road thing where you drive, but I didn't realize that when people tried it, they actually couldn't drive because it was really, really hard, which I got used to over 3 days. So I was like, okay, I don't know how to solve this problem, because everybody would just like go off road and eventually fall off the road, into the void. I also made this, I just thought one day, like, we were playing multiplayer games, and this is all in Stugan, so we're playing multiplayer games, and I'm like, I want to try to do something with 2 sticks, and yeah, this kind of came out of it. Also, like, 1 day work, which was really fun, but it was really hard to hit the goal. Anyway. Yeah, I also did some photogrammetry in Stugan. You may recognize someone here. And yeah, so I was supposed to work on my game, but I sort of ended up working and not finishing any of these stuff. And this actually is what Stugan was for me, you know, like I go into Unity, I'm like, well, should I open that or that? Maybe I should work on this one. No. No, let's start a new project. Yeah, yeah, that's, it's, okay. But I guess one of the things I might finish soon is this procedural train thing, where you just look out of the window and the world is procedural. It's very similar to the Lynch game, but yeah, there is no control. So I solved the problem of running off the road. And you can see here a bit sped up. This is like the debug speed. Yeah, it goes on forever. Anyway, the interesting thing is that I was working on the game during Train Jam, but I was at home. And I sent a friend, Milan, the VR build. And he sort of made it and put a hashtag Train Jam. And suddenly, you know, for the first 2 days of Train Jam, this was the top tweet. I wasn't even on the Train Jam. So, well, yeah, until Rami posted the drone video at the end of it. And then, yeah, we went down. But yeah, that was fun. Yeah, and I thought, yeah, well, we should maybe, like, if I'm making this train, we could maybe collaborate, like make an actual Train Jam, but in virtual space. So I just like added some multiplayer, and yeah, of course there's melons because yeah, why not? And yeah, that kind of worked. And you can see Milan and Pepin here throwing melons and business cards as well. Very, very important. Yeah. Anyway, oh yeah, this is, I didn't predict climbing on watermelons. But then, what happened is that I found this event. Which is, and I thought, well, if I'm already making an imaginary Train Jam, why not join the imaginary GDC? And it kind of, sort of went overboard. Yeah, and yeah, this was, well, the first screen, but then it was, I continued for those days, and yeah, it turned into imaginary San Francisco. So yeah, I built in some heads, and you could make you could change heads with the command set head, as you can see. So yeah, but the thing is that, yeah, of course, I didn't. I should have done it maybe a bit earlier because I was working during GDC, and at this point GDC was kind of over, and so people weren't really interested in that anymore. So I abandoned it. And but maybe for the next GDC, you could join in for some imaginary talks and imaginary workshops, and yeah, and then sort of made some heads for that. And heads. Oh yeah, of course. Command set heads. Don't. Yeah. So I also tried to do this. Yeah, another train thing. I like trains, obviously. You may recognize this this very place. And yeah, I was kind of trying to simulate the physics of real trains, and I thought, well, oh, sorry. I thought, you know, nobody, you know, when you ride in trains and buses, you have these handles that kind of like hang, and they move with the bus. You know, if it turns left, then they go like. And I thought, well, I have never seen that in a game. I really want to see that. You know, so I tried making it, but then, yeah, why do that if I can also hang drunk people? So. Yeah, this was also sort of like 2-day project or something. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, once I was in Paris, and I was walking through the La Villette, the park, and I saw these things, and I was like, oh my God, they look so procedural, like there's rules. And there's a lot of them, I don't know, 20, 30 of them in the park. And I thought, well, yeah, I really want to make a procedural generator, so I did that. And yeah, I don't know, also a day of work. I don't know why I did that. It just like, I want to find the rules behind it. Yeah, and you can make even bigger structures, which is the cool thing. But okay, let's be a bit more optimistic about my games. And this is a game that I'm working on right now, which I hope that I'm gonna finish soon, which is also very big and very procedural. But anyway, yeah, this is my Unity folder, which has 85 items. And this is the year of owning the laptop that I'm working on. So on the desktop, I have no idea what the count is. But meanwhile, I was traveling. I went to Nordic Game Jam a week ago. And well, I tried to do something, but I didn't really finish anything. But we took a bus from Copenhagen to Berlin, and yeah, we were kind of stuck for half an hour on waiting for the ferry to arrive. And since it was kind of called the jam bus, I was like, I mean, bus jam. I was like, well, okay, if it's called bus jam, maybe I should make something. So I made a game about waiting for the ferry to arrive. Which is, well, basically that. I don't know, maybe, I think it takes an hour to arrive. I never tried it. But we also made a game, oh yeah, Rexter was there as well. And we had this, we were talking about pretentious games. And how the titles are the most pretentious. Like you're trying to find the right words, and he said like, oh, there should be a game just called Pretentious, and I'm like, well, you know, yeah, they're kind of the single word names are already getting like used up. So there's probably a game already called Pretentious, but I think that Latinized names are being more popular. So I thought, yeah, let's make a game called Pretentio. And this is the game called Pretentio. It was made in, I think, 5 minutes. No, I'm lying. It was made in 4 years of hard work. And yeah, it's about, I think, people trying to figure out how to control something. Well, it's a mystery. I don't know, but it has a white box. Sorry, a monolith in the middle, and yeah, people are really confused, which is really cool. But yeah, some people don't really care, which is also cool. Yeah, it's on itch.io, and you can't download it because of course it needs to be exhibited in special places. It has to be experienced, and you cannot just, you know, play it at home. It would be ridiculous. But when I came to Amaze, yeah, this was yesterday, half an hour before his concert, and Leon Denise, he asked me to do some photogrammetry maybe, and I was like, yeah, let's do Boris, like, and then he could use it in the concert. So I picked up my camera, and we were like, yeah, let's go there in this little room and let's do something. And it turned out pretty well. It's a point cloud of Boris. in the corner, and Leon used it as with his particle effects, crazy stuff at a party yesterday. So yeah, I did actually finish something. And yeah, and also on a maze, we made scramble shake, which I didn't believe would happen, but it did, and it was great. And yeah, we were making scrambled eggs and giving out for free to people, which might happen tonight after the awards show. I don't know. You never know with eggs. Yeah, so I should maybe finish with the rest of the mail you started reading on the beginning, where I said, well, I don't really know what to talk about except the not finishing stuff. But yeah. All of those things happened. Scramble Shake, Stugan, GDC Europe, with me just not finishing games. So I guess it pays off. I don't know. And one last thing I did in a maze. Well, didn't, but it's kind of just to put a cap on that. I'll finish with this wonderful exploding melon that actually came to be by on the first day of Maze. I was walking past the currywurst place on the top of the stairs near Urbanspree, and Robin Baumgarten saw me, and he was like, "Hey, Thorsten asked me if we could make this kind of. I have a motion sensor, and you know, something should happen. Like, what do you think about like an exploding melon or something?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So I sat at the currywurst place. I took my laptop, and in 5 minutes I made this. So to finish off, I'm gonna tell a story. I'm not very good at telling stories, but anyway. I heard this story when I was a kid, and it kind of resonates with me today, which is about a Chinese emperor that wanted to have a picture of a rooster, and he hired the best artist in China to draw the perfect rooster. And he said, and the artist said, "Well, okay, I'll need 3 years to make the perfect rooster." And the emperor was like, "Okay, sure." And 3 years later, emperor comes to that artist and the painter, and emperor asks for like, "Okay, so have you done anything? Like, do you have a painting of a rooster that I asked 3 years ago?" And the painter takes a clean canvas and takes a brush, and in like 10 seconds draws a perfect rooster. And the emperor is like, "But why did you need 3 years? You just made it." And the painter takes him to like a huge warehouse where there are like thousands of canvases of terrible roosters, and like from terrible to better to kind of okay to good and to perfect paintings of roosters. So, well, the point of the story is, I forgot what the point is. You got the point. Okay. Yeah, so the point is the experience, right? Yeah. And for 3 years, you learn how to make a perfect rooster in 10 seconds. And I guess that, and coincidentally, I've been making games for a little more than 3 years, so that's kind of the same thing. And this Exploding Melon was created in 5 minutes. So I guess the main message is, if you just do stuff, and if you fail, it's great, and if you abandon projects, it's amazing. Oh no, I said it in a forbidden word. It's great, yeah. So thank you for listening.